I am joined, as always, by my super co host, Dorgon, leveling up the podcast as always, and I am Rudigs right here. We are both here to go over what's going on in the PlayStation world this week. But before we get into that, let's see what everyone's been gaming on. Dorgon, what? I'm glad to hear that you're past the injury. Hopefully it's not impeding too much, but I'm sure VR took a bit of a back seat this week as Spider-Man 2 uh,
Maybe?
must have been consuming the majority of your gaming time. And what up to chat, Mr. Reaver the Beaver, David Wilson, and FCAT coming in, as well as Ray the Gaming Cyborg.
Hi everybody, welcome to another episode. And yeah, it's pretty much been Spider-Man 2 the last week. There has been bits and bobs of other stuff. As you said, I'm over that injury, although I did take the same elbow and elbow a door frame yesterday whilst vacuuming the house. So, this elbow, it just doesn't want to keep working at any point. It likes being injured, apparently. So there has been a little bit of VR just for my personal fitness. There's been a little bit of cloud gaming because we've got PlayStation 5 cloud gaming now. So I've been using a little bit of that because I can dip in and out and it saves my space in the installed game. So I can play a cloud game and then go back to what was installed without having lost my place at all. Really nice quality of life thing, very similar to Xbox's quick resume. So I quite like that one personally. But most of the time has indeed been dedicated to Spider-Man 2. I unfortunately don't get too much time to game. Grown as adult, full-time job, house, and other responsibilities and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, it's been tough to get in the game time I wanted on Spider-Man, but I've been getting enough in to keep me engrossed, keep me moving forward. I've been really enjoying it. But you went and completed it, didn't you? And not just, story, completed it.
It's actually and crazy to say this, but my first platinum ever.
Oh,
So,
dude, yeah. Well done, well done.
um
That first one,
thank
it
you.
feels so good.
I hadn't really wanted to go through a game and he's gonna call it a plat. It's a plat, bro. Everyone plats games. Now I feel like I want to go back and plat Miles. I want to plat the original Spider-Man. Um, these games bring a lot of good fun, and I want more now that it's over. I actually went back and started replaying the game on the ultimate difficulty.
Oh, yes, good choice.
However, I was a little disappointed that it's not a new game plus type of feature. So you have to start all over again from the bottom. And I guess that's a bit of the storytelling elements. They don't give you all the abilities. Like it would be weird using the symbiote abilities in the opening scenes, right? So I guess
A little
that's
bit,
maybe
yeah.
why they don't give it to you. Miss Phoenix. Yes, thanks for sitting with me. Spider-Man has the longest end credits ever, but two end post scenes. That's dos end post scenes. So don't forget to miss out, or don't forget to watch those, and don't miss out on the end scene credits if you get past that. But absolutely, that was the game that I was locked into and focused. Oh, so many epic moments. I don't want to give spoilers. That'll be for another time. Great gameplay, quality story, side quests that bring emotion and at the same time epic moments. Stealth elements when you wanted there to be, but it never locked you into stealth. And they upgraded Mary Jane's missions to the next level, giving her that weapon was a brilliant choice. And if you wanted to just rush through, just play smart instead of play stealth, they gave you that option. So I really enjoyed that. A lot of good things. The only thing is, I wish there was more, but it's hard to say I wish there was more and have that as a complaint.
Yeah, it's always a good thing, and it's something that entertainment has always said, isn't it? It's one of the greatest sayings of stage stars. Always leave them wanting more, darling. Always. So yeah, I think
Yes.
Insomniac did good, leaving you wanting more. Do not worry, New Game Plus is on the way. It's similar to what God of War Ragnarok and God of War have done in the past, where they've launched the base game, the main game, as well as they possibly could, which bit questionable on occasion on Spider-Man, but they've launched that base game, and then New Game Plus is something that will come a little bit further down the line, generally 2 to 3 months after launch. It's just a nice little bit of injection of life into a game once it's had its first moment in the sun, to give it a bit more of a moment in the sun. And I think that would be when I go into my ultimate playthrough, but I could also see myself probably finishing this up and diving straight back into another ultimate playthrough, because it's a very good game. It's very enjoyable, and the story, like I say, I haven't finished it yet, so I'm not giving spoilers away because I don't want to be spoiled. But the story with where I am up to is just, it's a roller coaster. You get to about halfway through the game and you're like, how does all this work? And then suddenly it's like, oh, this is how it all works. Okay, I'm along for the ride now for the rest of the game.
I I have never wiped away tears while I was in a boss battle before, and that's what this game does to you. Mid boss battle, you're like, "Oh, I'm not crying, you are."
We've
it's
spoken a lot
it's
about Spidey, though, haven't we? Like
oh,
we've
oh
spent
yes.
2 previous weeks. We've got a bit this week, of course,
I
because we're
can't
playing
stop.
it.
I
I
can't
know, but
stop. It's
we've
it's
got
like
people who want to talk other stuff. There's FCat
other
talking about
PlayStation stuff.
platinums he could get.
Right. I mean, we got Quantum Error tomorrow. I've been wanting to pull up a trailer and see what it's about. FCat's been talking a lot about it. And that's true. I think I did plat Destiny 2. So that is a shout. Or did I I don't think you can, because there's only 23 limited trophies. I don't know if they have a plat, but they must. They must. So I
So
think that was
what
an easy one to get.
Bungie have done is they have
Right.
adjusted the trophies over time. So I got the platinum in Destiny 2 basically on release in 2017. I got the platinum in Destiny 2. It might have been 2018 I actually got it. Um, but one of the things was complete a Nightfall within a 10-minute time frame. That was the trophy that I earned for it, because Nightfalls were timed when Destiny 2 first launched. They've updated the trophy lists over time as the game has changed to make that platinum, or as it is on other, um, whatever their top tier is on other platforms, they've still made that top tier attainable. So it is things like Grandmaster Nightfalls, doing certain raids and such. So they keep updating the trophies to make that platinum obtainable, which is really good. And I wish more studios would do that, especially people like Ubisoft, who are removing online features from about 10 games in the coming weeks, one of which is Splinter Cell Conviction. That's got a co-op mode, and it's got trophies tied to the co-op mode. So if they turn that off and don't update the trophy lists, and you want to play Splinter Cell Conviction, you can never earn that platinum trophy once they've turned those online services off. So I do wish more people did
Damn.
what Bungie did and updated their trophy lists along the lines of what their game currently is.
Well, I wanted to get into a little bit of housekeeping. So before we get into the content of the week, don't forget to support the podcast. There's 3 ways to do that for free. 1, subscribe to the channel. 2, share out the podcast on your social medias. And 3, hit that like button to promote the content. Goes a long way to help the podcast, and that would be fantastic. So thank you for supporting and being here and being awesome. So without further delay, let's get into the news of the week. All right. Boom, pop that down. The first news story we have here is, oh man, why did I put this? I need to organize these better because this sounds sad. PlayStation executive was fired in civil war over live service games, claims God of War creator. So yeah, this is what we were messaging back and forth about yesterday, a little
Yeah.
bit in depth. So let's just lightly brush on this. I didn't connect those 2 dots as to you already sent me this story. Um,
So the situation here is
yeah,
David
please.
Jaffe David Jaffe is the creator of God of War. He used to work for Sony Santa Monica. He's also the creator of Twisted Metal series. He has a track record of putting a bit of information out into the world from sources. Who these sources are, how reliable they are, is questionable. He's got about a 50% hit rate on these things. But he put it out into the world last weekend that Connie Booth was getting fired. Now, Connie Booth is going to be a name that most people who like and appreciate PlayStation will never have heard of. However, for the last 30 years, she has been in the position of, I think it's something like internal development studios or content something or other. Whatever her job title was, she is the person responsible for putting games on PlayStation. She was there for Spyro the Dragon, she was there for Crash Bandicoot, she was there for Uncharted, she was there for God of War, she was there for Infamous and The Last of Us. She is the person at the top of the food chain who is responsible for these games coming to the platform. And she's gone. She has been fired, according to David Jaffe. PlayStation have not confirmed nor denied that she is fired, just that they have parted ways with Connie Booth. And it's a bit of a shock to the system because if you ask me over the last 30 years, I don't think Connie Booth has done a bad job at all. If anything, she's done the best job out of anybody out there because she's got PlayStation into that industry dominant position by making sure that the right content is on the platform. But obviously there's been a shift recently, and whether that shift was driven by her, whether that shift was driven by Jim Ryan towards these live service titles, I don't know. But somebody at Sony is seeing something that isn't fitting there because we're meant to have 10 live service games launching by 2025. That gives us 2 years to get 10 live service games out. We are at the end of 2023 and we have no idea what the next PlayStation Studios game is going to be. The only one that we know wholeheartedly that is in development is Marvel's Wolverine, which is set in Universe 1048, the same as Marvel's Spider-Man from Insomniac Games. But they've only just released Spider-Man, so that's at least 2 years away, if not longer, if it's a full-size game and not, say, a half sequel. So yeah, Connie Booth leaving is a bit of a shock, especially with the great job she's done in the past. The fact that David Jaffe is saying it's because of a civil war and unrest within Sony that she's pushing this live service thing and studios don't want to do that. One of the big names that has been brought up in conversations has been Naughty Dog. They're not wanting to do this live service. And yeah, don't piss off your crown jewel, which is Naughty Dog. You just don't do that. So yeah, very interesting and shocking news. And it does sort of ask the question as to what PlayStation's doing, where to next, because we really don't know. And all of the people in charge are currently walking out the door.
So a little bit of doom and gloom. I will say,
Unfortunately.
with only one first party release this year, you can see why Connie Booth was under some fire. We have some people coming into the show. What up, Ron Slusher? The main event Ron is here. Make some plays. And we got Callie Drew Vows looking for Deceit 2. Come on, we all know who's the infected one. And we got SPG. How you doing, man? Hope you're having a decent Monday morning as well. So, there is some turmoil. There is some stagnation. Let's hope that things are turned around. I mean, there are fair games. There is Concord coming out, but like you said, there's supposed to be 10.
Yeah.
And the direction of games is fundamentally evolving. And I don't ever think Sony will be down and out for the count. I think there'll just be some restructuring, reimagining. We'll get the new Final Fantasy of Sony PlayStation. That's my positive outlook on it.
I don't like they've obviously got the skill to create amazing games. And this is something I know guys over on Team Green got really annoyed about earlier in the year when Phil Spencer said there's no way that we can just make great games and people will flock to Xbox. They will. If you make great games, people will go to the great games. That's how gaming works. That's how gamers work. And PlayStation have the teams, have the skill set, have the monetary backing to make great games. We have just seen that in the past 2 weeks with Marvel's Spider-Man 2. It is a great game. Over 90% on Metacritic from critics and even higher from fans. So they've got the skill sets. I'm not concerned about that. It's obviously been a bit of a leadership issue, and that's something we're seeing on both sides of the powerful console market fence. I'm not including Switch in this because they do their own thing and they're completely different. But it's something we're seeing where the management just it isn't understanding what the fans actually want, what the players want. And when you give the players what they want, they're going to pay you for it. So PlayStation players want these amazing, bombastic, single-player, story-driven games. That's what they're here for. You could give them in RPG form. You can give them in action-adventure form. You can give them in turn-based combat form. Like, whatever the case may be, if you give them these amazing solo experiences, they will flock to that console. If you give them amazing multiplayer experiences, they will flock to that console. It's just both sides of the fence. We're not really seeing these amazing games being launched. We've had exactly one on PlayStation, and the other side have had, depending where you sit, either an amazing or terrible one in the middle of the year, a great one, phenomenal one at the start of the year, and then utter diarrhea in around about April time. They don't like to talk about that one. And it's the same over here. Like, I can see why heads are rolling if this is the direction it's been fed, because what have we got coming up? What's there for the PlayStation gamer?
Right. I mean, people are hanging on for Helldivers, people are hanging on for Fair Play, but I think those are the only two that we've seen footage and know that a game is coming. In terms of Wolverine, we haven't seen any gameplay, no sneak peek other than a fist on a table. So, it's tough out there, and for people who want something other than Marvel, want a different type of gameplay, the single player aspect is not really there. However, if you stay tuned at the end of the show, I picked up a story this morning that may hint towards something more along the lines of new games coming to PS5 through a critically acclaimed developer. So stay tuned, we'll check that out. But hey, who knows what we're going to see? But chances are, with this much money behind PlayStation, this much market share, you know that they have a plan. They have things in place, milestones, fallback plans. This is a machine that is built to last, and it's going to keep trucking forward with or without these personnel. So I think we'll see a future.
Yeah, fingers crossed, 100% fingers crossed.
All right, let's bump into some more news stories here. Oh yeah, I wanted to touch on this. If you didn't know already, and I realized, we talked about this for the past couple weeks, but PlayStation 5 streaming now available for all the regions. That's right, North America's just got access today. So you can now stream the power of PlayStation 5 in the cloud if you are a premium member. So be sure to check out all the games you now have access to if you're in the Americas, because today, October 30th, is the launch day for the cloud.
Yeah,
Awesome, awesome.
100%. We've heard some good things from a couple of folks already who fed back to us about their American experiences. My European experience has been absolutely fine, as long as we don't count the Uncharted Legacy of Thieves collection. That doesn't seem to want to work. But yeah, it's really good because it can free up space on your hard drive. Like the SSD in the PlayStation 5 is really small. Destiny 2 is taking up about 150 gig for me at the moment, and that is available to stream on the cloud with all of my purchases included.
Oh yeah,
So
that's going cloud. That's
so
going
that could
cloud.
go cloud. I do get input lag on Destiny 2, so it might not go fully cloud yet until they improve the service, but as and when that gives me that option, I will be going cloud for that one just to free up space. God of War Ragnarok is a flawless cloud experience. All of the Spider-Mans that are on there, Spider-Men, all those games, they work flawlessly. Demon's Souls, such a high reaction, like precision type game, worked flawlessly. I've got no complaints other than, as I said, the Uncharted Legacy of Thieves collection. That just is unplayable on the cloud for some unknown reason.
Well, we should hear back from Ray whether or not it works well in the Americas. So stay tuned to that. But today, cloud streaming is released. So free up some space if you have great internet connection. I believe you want to have at least 40 megabytes up and down for that 4K. And make sure you remember that you have to share your up and down with the people in your house. So be sure to do that calculation.
So those of us in the UK, you're scuppered because the maximum up you can get is 100 meg.
What? No, you're joking.
We have legislation over here that stipulates that internet service providers only need to provide 10% of their download speeds as their upload speeds. So for me, I've got gigabit download speed, so I've got gigabit broadband coming into my house, but send anything out. So to send this video out to you, I have 100 megabits to work with. I do not have the full gigabit broadband. I've only got 100 meg, and that's only after I've put it through a certain DNS and a VPN. If I just left it to the ISP, I'd be getting 50 meg up. It's a shocking situation that we have here in the UK. We've got amazing download speeds, but our uploads suck, which does make things like cloud gaming a little bit more difficult because you are sending data back and forth. It's not like a video stream, for example, where you just need all of that incoming data. I do believe it's being checked in like Parliament and stuff, but given the track record of this mob, I'm not really holding out hope that anything will change.
Damn. I got 500 up and down. And that's like the middle package. I just know I didn't need any more than that. But yeah, hoping that legislation picks up and you have more access. Speaking of FCAT, thanks for bringing this up. I wanted to touch on it because yes, I did play the finals beta over the weekend, and this is available until November 5th, I believe. So if you haven't tried it yet, be sure to get access to it. Now, listen, for those who love first person shooters, team based oriented, this game looks cool. It looks amazing. It looks next generation. It looks like it would take up a lot of space on your hard drive because of all the detail and the textures and the features and the bullets and the ricochets and the psychic mind powers.
No
Uh,
angle here or anything, eh?
yeah, could be good for the cloud. Uh, I mean, look, it looks beautiful and it plays like this. It really does play like this. And it's really exciting. And I think this is the future of what you should be expecting from first person shooter, tournament based, combat based, deathmatch based games. For me, I just suck. I am no good at doing this kind of thing. Uh, I I I tried to get some kills here and there. I did play it out and have some fun with it, but perhaps if I was in a team with FCAT, we'd do a bit better. But me by myself, I'm not that great. But hey, pop it in, download it, have some fun. It's free until November 5th. So why
It's
not?
also one of those games that is better with a team. And it's
Yes.
also better when you don't take it seriously. I walked in with a couple of friends who don't content create or anything like that. We dicked about whilst we were there. We had a bit of fun, and it was a wildly fun, hilarious experience. It's one of those games. If you're going in solo, you're basically taking it seriously because you want to win. You're not communicating with others, or if you are, you don't know what other people are going to want to do. Most of the time, you have to sort of assume they want to win, unless they tell you, "Let's just piss around whilst we're out there and have a bit of fun." So I would say go in with a team of friends and you will have a much better time, both in terms of the way your team composition comes together, the way your team actually works together, and what you're aiming to do in that game. If you're aiming to win, you can all work together to do that. And if you're just aiming to have fun, you can all work together to do that. And both are totally available within the same match. So I like it. I think it has the possibility to be a big type game. I just don't know how far the formula can carry it once it gets fully launched. It will have its moment in the sun because every streamer and their buddy will be on it initially, but I would be interested to see if it lasts more than sort of a 2-month period with players.
But I really hope this sets a bar because the way it looks and the way it feels is really smooth. It feels brand new and it has that this is why I have a PS5 feeling. So I do invite that level of development and the feeling that they brought in this game. So kudos to them and I hope it hits a trend for them. Um, it's all about hitting that trend for these games.
There's a there's a lot of this today, a lot of fingers crossed. Uh, Almost every story, if it's ending like
Ah.
this, I'm starting to I'll just cross them all, shall I? There we go. I don't think we've got any more stories where we can go fingers crossed for us, mate. You're gonna have to start joining in here.
What's up, Mountain Gaming Incorporated? Thanks for bringing your business on by. And Ron Slusher makes a good point by saying these don't last long because of Fortnite and Apex being such dominant forces in the live service market. But who knows? Games are always dethroned, and it's all about hitting that trend. So the way this game looks and feels is something novel. So Ron, it's right up your alley, man. I'm surprised I haven't seen you stream this one. So I'd be curious to see you play it. If not, team up. Anyways, check out the finals. It's a free game. All right. So this is our next story here. PSVR 2 is important to Sony, but PS5 is the core. See, this is the one aspect where it's like you can almost forgive PlayStation if you have a forgiving heart for only releasing one game this year because of their PSVR 2 and the fact that they did release multiple games on that headset. Four
Yeah, I think
games.
it was four. I think it was four because we had Synapse, which was a PSVR exclusive. I don't. That was by
Call of the
N
Mountain.
Dreams, I think. So it wasn't a an internal studio. Call of the Mountain was an internal studio. That was Firesprite Studios. There was Firewall Ultra, which again was an internal studio. I forget the name of them, but they only developed for PlayStation VR. And then I want to say Crossfire Sierra Squad was exclusive, but I might be wrong on that one. I think I am wrong thinking on it. I think that also came to Quest and such, but who knows? Either way, like, yeah, we've had, if you have a PlayStation VR 2, you've had access to 5 exclusives through the course of the year, and that's great. And PSVR 2, to me anyway, that like this is my first time VR. This is my first ever home VR set. And it feels like it's important to Sony after these first 8 months. But them saying that PS5 is the core means that it's also a bit of an afterthought, a little bit, which, depending how strong that afterthought is, can still be a good thing. It could also still be quite a bad thing because a lot of people just want to game in VR. They want that to be their primary way to game, especially after experiencing it. Going back to flat screen gaming, even something as amazing as Marvel Spider-Man 2, it's difficult. It's a totally different way of interacting with the world, and you have to reset your expectations in your brain. It's a difficult thing that I've had to do. Um, I hope we see some form of price drop for it, as Ron is asking in the chat, over this Christmas period, because this quote, this article, has come from a much wider ranging interview with one of the heads of strategy at PlayStation. I believe you've got the link there somewhere, Rudy. I don't know if you want to bring it up, because he went through a lot of things that PlayStation are doing about what's important to them, what isn't, and so on. And VR is important to him, but like you said, PlayStation 5 is the core. And when you see what they've released in terms of hardware this year, you can see what they mean by PlayStation 5 as the core. They've got a handheld coming out next month in November that can only work if you've got a PlayStation 5. They've got new proprietary audio tech coming out next month. I think it's next month. We haven't been told, but we assume it is because it was announced alongside the Portal, which can only work with other PlayStation pieces of hardware and the PlayStation 5. And all these sort of things, everything they're doing, it needs the PlayStation 5 to work. The PSVR 2 needs the PlayStation 5 to work. The Portal needs the PlayStation 5 to work. The Elite headsets need the PlayStation 5 to work, and so on and so forth. So yeah, PlayStation 5 is the core, and they are looking at a bumper holiday season because we've got Spider-Man. It is the big talk of the town. People want to play that game. They've got the new model of the PlayStation, which is slimmer. It's half gloss, half matte, which a lot of people are liking from an aesthetic standpoint. The fact you can mix and
Of
match your four
course,
pieces of the case and all that sort of stuff.
PlayStation lost some weight.
Yeah, it lost some weight and then it grew a tumor with that disk drive. So it's one
No,
of those that
that's
they've
its
got to
apple
push.
bottom. That's an apple bottom.
We are not talking apple bottom jeans. We're not going through this again.
Apple
No. I
boots
still
with
don't
the
know what apple
fur.
bottom jeans are. That's not a thing over here. So I see what that quote means, but also it's like, yeah, if PlayStation 5 is the core, as a PlayStation 5 owner, I feel a little abandoned this year because VR have had
Yeah,
great stuff. We've got stuff on
right.
the Portal coming and what have you, but as just a PS5 owner, if you, especially like you don't own all of these accessories and such. You've been abandoned. You've only had Spider-Man.
I've only had Spider-Man and then Square Enix to kind of prop up PlayStation with Final Fantasy and Forspoken. And yes, I very much enjoyed Forspoken, so I will say great experience. Well worth it. Hands down. But yeah, a little left out. And if you look at the sort of graph of the exclusive they launched year over year over year, you can see why Connie Booth was put under the in the hot seat this year with only one release. So it's what it is. Hopefully that just means more fueled releases for the next years coming up. And like you said, 10 live service games, Wolverine, and let's all see it coming out. Um, Back on to Sony, will see a really strong holiday season, and Spider-Man 2 will be a huge reason. Of course, people are going to be giving this for a Christmas present, especially with everything being in stock. And that's what Sony did this year, was really push the hardware. They pushed the controller, the new Pro one. They pushed the headset. They have a new console this year. Like you were saying, all the things, the headset, the Portal. So a lot of things coming out this holiday season. If you're a hardware fan, this was your year.
I mean, you've got nothing to use with the hardware, but yeah, if you just like pretty hardware, I mean, they're giving you quite a bit this year. Like you can't argue with that, really. The access controller as well. That is one that we really should applaud.
Right?
No matter what else, we
Yes.
should applaud that access controller because it just makes gaming more accessible to more people. But yeah, it's left a little to be desired. But you've got the interview up now. This is Reset Error, who have transcribed the interview because it sits behind a paywall on the original site, unfortunately. And I'm not flush with cash, so I couldn't go and get the actual
Yeah.
article for you. Um, he goes. It's a wide-ranging interview, but the one that intrigued me probably the most was the comments on PlayStation Plus. If you want to read those out to our lovely audience, mostly because
Where
I
did
can't
we
read it off this teeny tiny screen.
No worries. I'm trying to find where they talk about PlayStation Plus. If the PlayStation's intellectual property strategy for film and television, oh, okay. There has been some criticisms over the size of a recent PS Plus subscription price increases, roughly 30%. How do you justify these hikes to the consumer? So this is a big question we tried to answer about a month back when it first happened.
Indeed,
And
yes.
Lempel, he responds by saying, "We want to make PlayStation great. With our reboot last year and introducing the tier system, a lot of consumers have recognized that there's a lot of value in PlayStation 5. Like practically everything else in the world, we have to look at our pricing and we have to adjust to market conditions. I'm happy to say, unlike a lot of other subscription services out there, we haven't touched the PlayStation Plus pricing for 85% of the world in many years. So this was the first time we did something there." So he's justifying the price increase because he said he hadn't done it for 85% of the world in many years. And
it's a
he's
bit of a
got to meet the
nothing
new
answer.
market reality. Yeah, it's a nothing market. What up, Sam? Thanks for coming on
Hey,
by.
Sam. Yeah, for me, that section of it is a bit of a nothing answer. It feels like a politician dodging the question, and
Right.
we all understand that bills are going up. We all understand that the world is harder to live in, to work in, to operate in as a business. But when you've got a $99 billion business telling you, oh, we haven't increased prices for so long, it doesn't help those of us who saw a price rise in 2018, 2020, and now in 2023. Like here in Europe, we have seen three price rises to PlayStation Plus in recent memory. It doesn't help us feel any better about it at all. And as people say, it's a huge increase. You're talking 30 to 40% in some markets. It's only 20% here in the UK. But then if that's bringing other markets that haven't had those increases up to the same level as us, it's going to be a much bigger increase. And I feel he needs to justify it, but the next bit sort of it goes onto it a little bit, but I'm not sure it satiates those of us who are questioning why it's so huge.
Right, and it comes down to the type of game and the quality of games. I can't comment on the competition, but with us, we feel like we are offering a great curated catalog of game as well as other features and services with PlayStation Plus, which I will say both catalogs can be curated on their own merits, and I'm sure they both are. But what I will say is that the services PlayStation Plus has started to offer are definitely adding a lot of value. You get Sony's high bitrate core streaming service, which was completely out of left field. I didn't realize I needed or wanted until I saw the quality of the stream. And then we have the Crunchyroll that they're being rumored to add, and now we have cloud streaming that they're throwing onto premium. So a lot of benefits here that we're getting, and we could see more in the future. We don't know. They're not telling us. Give us a roadmap, or at least give me a roadmap. I'll embargo it. I promise. But would like to see it.
Yeah, yeah. It's like you say, that the value has been added after the fact that they didn't do it when they explained it. But he also says in this interview that a third of all subscribers have chosen either extra or premium, which really shocked me because most people didn't change anything when PlayStation Plus had its revamp in 2022. They just went with the, oh, we're changing things around. If you currently only pay the £40 per year, you'll keep paying that and get your access to your 3 or 4 monthly games and your online services and such. The fact that a third of all PlayStation Plus subscribers, which we have to remember is in the 50 million mark. So you're talking well over 12 million people are on either extra or premium. And when we consider that most people who buy a console will buy it for a singular game, that Major League Baseball, that FIFA, that Call of Duty, that Battlefield, they'll buy it for the one game that they'll play every year for the period of that console. And I'm shocked that many people bumped up to extra or premium. And I get it. There's a lot of value to be had, especially in the extra tier because of that massive games catalog. But you'd think then with a price rise so big, with such a success of so many people signing up for it, you'd want to give them some more off the bat. But I also understand what he's saying about not doing the same as the competition. I'll remember these words from Ron Dennis, a Formula One team boss. He said it about 8 years ago now. He said, there's no point doing exactly the same as the competition when they are already ahead. In this instance, that would be, why would PlayStation Plus do the same as Game Pass when Game Pass is already ahead? Because if you're just copying what they do, you're doing it after they've done it and they've already got the leg up on you. So they do have to do something different to Game Pass. They are doing something different to Game Pass. And I think it suits the sort of PlayStation ecosystem and player base quite well. But at the same time, tell us this. Like, stop with this silence we've had for the past year.
Silence is not a good strategy. Come on. When will they learn? What's up, Lo-Fi? Yes, terrifying
Oh.
marathon of horror last night, good sir. I'm sure it'll continue into the holidays. But yeah, silence is not a great strategy. Well, let's pop into the blog and see what's been going on in Sony this week. Star Ocean, they're talking about modernizes a classic PlayStation adventure 25 years later. Square Enix explains the development process behind the upcoming RPG. So I'm sure it won't get the same treatment as a Final Fantasy, but cool to see. It's kind of like I don't know how to describe this art style, but it's like pixelated 2.5D. So really aesthetically pleasing and brings you back into that turn-based RPG that made this game so popular. I'm not a huge JRPG player. I have not gotten into too many of these, but I know that there's obviously a huge appetite for this, especially in Japan where they originated.
Yeah, I like what they've done with this. They've basically taken the original art style and updated it. So you've got the
Right.
same world from the same sort of perspective, but it looks like you remember it. It's a good thing. Like some of these remasters, they're very difficult to go back and play the original game. Konami have just released the Metal Gear Solid Master Collection Volume 1, and in that you get the original PlayStation 1 Metal Gear Solid on a 55-inch 4K television screen. A 360p 32-bit game does not look good no matter what sort of AI upscaling you've got. You can only upscale 8 pixels, which is Snake's face, so far. So games like this, where they take that and they make it look like you remember back in the day, but on your current television, is a really good thing for game preservation, game discovery for people who've never played this before. And whilst they're in there making all of these visual tweaks, they can make mechanical tweaks as well so that this plays like people remember and plays more in line with what people are used to today. There are a lot of games that could really benefit from this sort of care and attention and preservation, because it's something that we discuss quite regularly at the moment with games disappearing from services, with studios shutting down and losing staff left, right, and center, games coming without physical releases and such. So it's good to see this. I'm very happy that it's happening. Square have done this with a bunch of their titles, including a bunch of the Final Fantasy titles. So you can get the original 7 on PlayStation 5, and it actually looks decent. You can actually play it and not be squinting at the few pixels that are on screen. So yeah, I'm happy they're doing this, and I hope them and more studios do it for more titles moving forward.
I agree. I was really upset to see, such a game like Metal Gear have such that high caliber, that IP strength, but yet so little kind of go into these ports. Kind of the same thing we saw with Red Dead. I think if you need to bring games into the modern time and re-release them, you really need to step it up. Bring it at least to an HD edition, 60 FPS. I mean, or else it's not going to date well in the next couple years. I think these should all be standards if you're going to remake something. So I hope there becomes a better gold standard to re-releases, but it's a little disappointing. I hear you. You don't want to boot something like that on a big screen.
Nah, it's not fun. That one's definitely for the Portal or your phone and remote play. It's much more stomachable, shall we say.
Well, like I said, not much happening in the PlayStation world this week. They're riding their high off of Spider-Man. They're slinging through New York, but PSVR 2 Arizona Sunshine 2 is coming on December 7th. So this is a massive VR game. It's a zombie sort of horde mode, constantly moving through. I know I've experienced a little bit of Arizona Sunshine 1 on a Oculus. So I kind of know what this game is about and how it feels. But they've upgraded everything in this one, so pretty cool. And definitely worth checking out if you're into the VR, because this is one of the the bigger productions when it comes to a VR title, in my mind.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, there's a few out there that have amazing high production value. I really like the production value of Crossfire Sierra Squad. It's not the greatest first person shooter for VR out there, but I like the production value. Horizon has phenomenal production value, if slightly lacking gameplay on occasion. But this one, it's one of those giving you a horde mode, having the enemies come towards you is much easier to deal with that from a VR perspective. So it's going to be very interesting. I'm disappointed it's another first-person shooter for VR. I would like some more action adventure games, I'd like some more MMOs, the likes of Zenith, The Last City sort of thing. That would be really nice. Obviously, you're going to be in first-person view because you're in VR, but I'd like some more interesting takes in VR. We've had a lot of shooty type games this year, but we shall see moving forward. This one's going to be good. I mean, you just look at the graphical fidelity, look at everything about it. Like the fact you can just walk up to them and poke them with your finger is quite interesting. But yeah, it's a damn good looking game. It handles really well. Or the first one handles really well. I assume the second one will handle just as well. If you are getting a PSVR 2 at this time of year and it's going dark at 3 p.m. like we've got at the moment here in the UK, make sure to turn all your lights on in your room if you've got an inside out tracking headset. It's just going to make life easier for you.
So cool to see you even get a dog companion in this one. And if you're a big dog fan like myself, that would be a massive draw. Cool to see. I like big production games like this, and I agree. Having like a sword and shield and having a big open world MMO, something like that, would be a nice addition, and I hope that we see that soon.
It's more of this, isn't it? Yeah, not much more of this.
You know what I was surprised about is, and I've been trying to look for this, is why do we not know what games we're getting in November for PlayStation? It's like
So
2 days.
P PS Plus will tell you on the Thursday before the Tuesday of release. Because we have November starting this Wednesday, we will find out on November the 2nd what November's PlayStation Plus games are for the Essential tier that will release next Tuesday. So sometimes the
Yeah.
month really screws you up because it
Yeah.
starts on a Wednesday or starts on the Thursday or something. So you're in the month where the games are getting released before you find out about them, which
Damn.
can be a bit annoying, but at the same time, it's like that is the precedent they've set. At least we know when it's happening.
Some games that if we're on your radar, like Jedi Star Wars Survivor on sale, Gotham Knights on sale, and Dragon Ishin also on sale, plus a wide variety of other games. Be sure to check it out. This massive sale with up to 75% off stops never, because there's always sales in the PlayStation Store. So be sure to check it out.
I mean, you're not wrong.
November 17th. It officially concludes November 17th.
And then we'll have another one ready for Christmas and
Yeah.
Hanukkah and Diwali and whatever else comes at this point in the year.
Yes, that's how it goes. Let's move on down here. Some new games coming out this week, and like I said, man, it was slow because that's all I could get from the PlayStation blog that they released this week. New games this week. The big one I think is RoboCop, which is cool to see. A lot of nostalgia, I believe, in this franchise. They went old school RoboCop look. So that'll be awesome when it comes out on November 2nd. Rogue City. It's a first person shooter from what I've seen, so another shooty bang bang. But I feel like that kind of IP brings a lot of people, and I think it'll do well.
It looks really good. Like I was not expecting anything from this. Like when you get IP tie-in games a lot of the time, the Spider-Mans of this world are rare. Like most of the time, you end up with like your diehards on the PlayStation 1, which was part on rail shooter, part Grand Theft Auto, part third person action adventure, and none of them worked really well. Or you get something like the Amazing Spider-Man games, which were swinging off the sky. Yeah, you just zipped web directly up and swang off the sky. Like sometimes, like a lot of these movie IP tie-ins leave a lot to be desired. Look at Kong Skull Island earlier this year. That's not the development team's fault. They were given 12 months to ship a fully functioning game, which was just never going to happen. But that was a bad tie-in because of the time frame they were given. This RoboCop game looks actually phenomenal. Like it's got me excited, and I'm going to say something now that is going to probably get me some
Uh-oh.
hate mail. I don't like RoboCop, but that's because I watched it when I was already well into my 20s, which was way after 2000. So it was very aged when I watched it, and I'd seen better prior to seeing that. But yeah, this game looks phenomenal. It looks so good, and I think it's the game that could actually get me liking RoboCop. We shall see.
Let's see if they're gonna let me see any gameplay of it. No. No, it's just footage. Okay.
So
Yeah, so check it out.
FCAT says it's an arcade shooter, which for me, bring it.
Uh,
I don't need these precision shooters. Give me an arcade shooter. I'm all for it.
it seems like it lends itself to VR as well. The big one that FCAT was talking about early in the chat, we got Quantum Error coming in, and then some cool ones. So be sure to keep your eye out. No like huge ones. The Foglands, we talked about that earlier. That's going to be a VR as well. Where you
Very
kind of throw
excited
your
for that
gun.
one. I'm glad that's both, though. I'm glad that flat screen gamers are going to be able to experience Foglands as well as VR gamers. And it's cheap as well. It's like a £25 game or something like that. I like the look of it. I will be playing it VR, but if there's co-op and you're flat screen, let's meet up, shall we? In the Foglands.
Oh yeah, if that is a possibility.
I have no idea
This
if
is
co-op's in
one
it. I'm
that
just
is
saying.
this is one that's in the title. So I wanted to talk about it a little bit. Those who are looking forward to Star Wars Outlaws, it has been delayed. Yes, ladies and gentlemen. What can you say? This is what happens to games in this day and age. It's pushed beyond March 2024.
Is
I
anybody really surprised? This is there goes my wife. This is a Ubisoft game. They've been delaying Skull and Bones for about 8 years at this point in time. They have delayed Star Wars Outlaws and they have delayed X Defiant so many times it's unfunny. Like, when is it beyond a joke and just sad that everything they announce and give a release date to is getting delayed years upon years upon years down the line? And the longer these things get delayed, the more issues that they have with more of these games, the less faith people are going to have in them. How much faith do you have, for example, Rudigs, in Skull and Bones after 8 years of delays?
Yeah, and all I wanted them to do was Red Dead Redemption, but pirates, but they didn't do that. They did You're a Boat, and I don't want to
I
play
just
You're a Boat.
wanted Black Flag without the assassins. Let me just be a pirate. Like, that would be
Yeah,
great. That's all they needed to do. And then it's been delayed for 8 years. X Defiant was on the radar in 2020, I believe. I think the first open beta was some point in 2022 that I was part of. Closed betas were happening in 2021, and that's been delayed and delayed and delayed. And now we're getting Star Wars Outlaws, which people got really hyped about at Summer Games Fest when it was announced. Once again, getting a
yep.
delay. Like, there's no faith left in the company at this point, and that's sad because they have the ability to make good games once upon a time. It's definitely feeling like they no longer have that ability with all of these delays and the mediocreness that they have actually put out.
So the official reasoning is to maximize its value creation. So I assume it wasn't good enough and they needed to add more value to justify the price tag. Damn. Keep building, keep making it away, and into fiscal year 2024 or 2025. That's right. You may not see this game for all of next year. It's quite a shame. It's in reality, you could see it 2 years from now. We'll see, and it could look different than this in 2 years. So we'll see, because that's what happens with delays. The technology you first started your game in gets outdated, and so you have to make these big changes. But it's unfortunate to see, but you heard it here. So if you were holding your breath for that one, you can breathe.
There were a lot of people holding their breath for that one, along with Avatar. And are we expecting to see Avatar on time, or are you expecting delays?
I haven't heard anything. I know Skull and Bones is delayed until um whenever it is going to be released, but yeah, stunning PS5 open world or Star Wars has been delayed. So check out for more news, but we're calling it I'm calling it a 2025 holiday release as of right now.
I'm calling it a Skull and Bones Part 2.
Well, there we are. I wanted to check this out because I'm a bad gamer and I have no idea what quantum error is. So, FCAT, I know you're hyped for this one. This game drops this week. What is quantum error? Is this a first-person shooter, I assume?
I have heard absolutely nothing on Quantum Error. I knew it was a game, I knew it existed, but I don't know much more than it exists. Yes.
Yeah, uh so there's obviously some hype behind this one. I hope it doesn't suffer the same fate as Immortals Avium, FCAT's last choice. Uh, my bad, buddy, but we'll see. Right now it looks like you're a firefighter.
Oh yes, I remember it now. You're the firefighter, and you can do like full on CPR. You blow on your controller and such. It gives
You
me
blow on your controller? Oh my goodness.
yeah. I get very Resistance. Whatever the PlayStation Vita Resistance game was, I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head. It gives me those sort of vibes, but I do
Oh, that's
also
cool.
like what you said about the Immortals of Avium. It gives me Immortals of Avium vibes, where it's like it's got potential, it's got promise, but does it have any more than the potential and promise? It might be one of those that for me becomes a bargain bin banger that you pick up for like £10, £20 at a later date. I
Right.
don't personally think this is going to be a day one
Oh,
pickup
the
for me.
trilogy begins. They're investing in this
They
franchise.
best hope it performs then, eh?
That's a bold call to be like, there's gonna be three more or two more after this one,
There's going
and
to be
we have
3 in
not even
total. You've not
released it.
played a single one yet. Have them all. I mean, if it's good
That is
enough,
some balls.
go for it. But yeah, like you say, it's a bit ballsy.
Is that Halo?
It
What?
it gives you Halo vibes, doesn't it?
That looked like Master Chief right there falling. Don't hate on Immortals. People don't have skill. I've never played Immortals. It honestly feels like a game that should be on a subscription.
It's nothing to do with skill. There is a lot of promise in that game, just not for the price they were asking.
Well, cool to see. Again, it looks like it was a first-person shooter type of game, but we'll see. They look to expand on this world and make a trilogy. So exciting stuff. Thanks, FCAT, for bringing that to the attention. I did want to check it out, and oh my gosh. Okay, first of all, ridiculous picture. Ridiculous. A firefighter with like a machine gun in his hand. I guess it's just a little odd.
Hey, if you're put up against whatever sci-fi horror was in that trailer, I'm picking up a damn machine gun and shooting it as well. And I don't have the body strength that a firefighter will have to do that.
Well, I wanted to touch on this story. I hinted at it in the beginning, but we have apparently Elden Ring Dark Souls developer From Software beefing up for multiple new PS5 games. That's right. It seems that From Software, blah blah blah, they have a long history. Now, according to IGN Japan, the Tokyo-based team is hosting a massive recruitment drives that seeks to bolster its studio for multiple new projects. So this is looking for engineers, artists, programmers, all the people who make games. So this is exciting to see. Obviously, Sony owns a portion of the company, but this is hinting towards new games in the pipeline through this vein, through this developer. And we all know Elden Ring performed amazingly well, game of the year. And then we had Armor Core 6 this year, plus the anticipated DLC. So I only hope that this push fuels From Software to make some more PS5 exclusives. Perhaps we'll have a Bloodborne reinventing or a new type of Bloodborne, a PS5 Souls exclusive that takes the mantle in 2025. That's my prediction. We'll do another one 10 years later, but we'll see. I think this is awesome news. I think Sony did a great job in purchasing a portion of this company because these are the type of games that I like. So it's a me thing. So go me.
Yeah, yeah. For you, this is great. I do worry sometimes that these sort of FromSoft type games are oversaturating the market a little bit. They were special because they were rare initially. When we've got Demon's Souls on the PlayStation 3, that was such a unique title because it was so difficult, so hard, and took people ages to beat it the first time round. But now we've got people speedrunning these things. We've got them coming out every few months. There's a new Souls-like game, and I do worry that even like From Software themselves are putting out too many of these games. And I understand you want to put out a game, you've got ideas, you want to put it out there, you want to do it in the vein of what has made your company famous and what have you, but sometimes less can be more. That's my only worry with this one. I don't think there's going to be any problem with quality or anything like that. It's the work ethic of both Japan and From Software that they will go for precision and quality before releasing the title. So I don't think we're going to have any problems there. The stories are generally very good. The mechanics are always excellent. I just don't want them to do it too much and ruin this special thing that they have.
Right. The worst thing we could see here is Dark Souls become Assassin's Creed. We don't want to see yearly releases of the same thing, but I believe there is enough creativity, inspiration, versatility in this company to be different that we'll see a wide variety of different titles. Perhaps something that they had been always wanting to do but never jumped into, but now have the funds to do so. Armored Core really pushed the thought limits of what From Software could push out in the past couple years. So that was amazing to see. I didn't hold a sword. I fired rockets and machine guns. So I'm looking forward to it. I know that Sony owns about 30%, I believe, of From Software, or at least a nice portion of them. So I believe that this was a good investment, and I hope it bears some good fruit in the near future.
Again, more. I don't have enough fingers or toes anymore, man. But
Yeah, I know. I know it's a fingers crossed situation.
this is
Um,
the episode of fingers crossed. Everybody
yeah.
cross your fingers. Everyone at home, everybody watching, hit that like button. Go on, hit that like button, help us out. Then hit that subscribe button, and then cross your fingers. All of them, please.
Yeah, they need to give us
There
a
we go.
state of play. They need to show us what's coming up in the horizon. Give us a deep dive. I mean, we've had a deep dive into Helldivers, but that's not the most exciting thing ever. It's just cool to have. But we'll see
100%.
it.
I mean, Ron asked the question earlier, and we sort of skipped over it because of where we were in the show. But as we're basically at the end of everything now, like, do
Yeah.
you think that we are going to get that sort of huge announcements from Sony at the Game Awards? Do you think they are waiting for them to give us everything? Like, this is what's coming for PlayStation in 2024. This is what's coming for PlayStation in 2025. Because we know some of the third-party stuff, like Rise of the Ronin, which I'm personally really looking forward to. But do you think they're waiting on the Game Awards and all of these world premieres in the biggest games event of the year?
I think that one is a great audience to display some new things. I think we're waiting for some sort of state of play, or will we get another one this year? I don't know their media marketing strategy for revealing what's coming up in the future, because I feel like I'm in the dark. When you look at all of these studios that they've acquired, we barely know what's happening in a lot of them. We don't know what's going on with the future of live service games, which companies are working on live service games, which games companies are working on single. Like, it is fingers crossed if you're a Sony PlayStation and you are trusting in past performance into the future. You are trusting that you'll
100%.
get a year like 2018 for PlayStation 5 next year. So, because I think 2023 will go down as a hardware year and a where's the software year.
Yeah, 100%. We've got 2 months. They gave us a state of play in November last year. That was that third party one that showed us things like Rise of the Ronin, that showed us Tekken 8 initially, gave us the launch trailer of God of War Ragnarok and stuff. So there is precedence for a state of play in November, and we're a couple of days out from November. So fingers crossed, you know how it goes. We'll hear about it on Thursday and it'll happen on Tuesday, or even quicker than that, like last time. We got told on Wednesday and it happened on Thursday. So we'll see. We're due one, but we're due a first party one. No more of this third party, Sony. We want to know what the internal studios are working on. We are begging for information because people will up and leave if they see better deals elsewhere.
I mean, there's only so long we can be quiet. Like, what's Ben's Studios doing? We don't know. It's up in the air. And after Days Gone, people were excited. They're taking that IP, they're moving it onto the big screen or a TV production. I mean, where does that leave Ben? What have they been doing? Why keep it secret? Why not build hype along the development process? So, you
I
know,
know they've been recovering initially because the head of the studio who was in place for the creation of Days Gone was quite toxic. And he has blamed everybody under the sun except himself for Days Gone not being as successful as it was. So yeah, it's very much a case of they've been rebuilding and then they've had to reassess what they're doing because Days Gone 2 got turned down by Sony. So back to the drawing board. But Naughty Dog, one of the premier development teams at Sony Entertainment Studios, what have they been doing? What has the second team been doing since The Last of Us Part 2 release? What have the second team been doing since Uncharted Lost Legacy released in 2017? We've not seen their work. Um, Sucker Punch, I know it's only 3 years since we got Ghost of Tsushima, but now would be the time to say we're working on something new and maybe give us a quick CGI of what it is. What about Gorilla? We know there's a third Horizon. Just give us a teaser date, maybe, or say that it's in development. There's so many options out there, and we've got no information, which just it sucks. And it's hard to be a PlayStation podcast and be positive when we've got no information to work with.
I mean, are we getting Returnal 2 or are they doing something
Housemark,
else?
yeah, what are they up to? One of the best development teams you've got, like.
I mean,
Just
the
give us
last thing we heard
something.
from Media Molecule was layoffs.
They
Naughty
had layoffs.
Dogs.
They did say they were starting a new development cycle, but that means it's very early days. They've only just stopped developing Dreams, their previous game. So whatever they move on to now, it's only just started in the last month, which means at best they've got a storyboard. That's not enough to show off. We're 5 years out from whatever Media Molecule are doing next.
So it's tough, but we'll keep holding on, we'll keep looking out, and we'll let everyone know as soon as we hear something. I mean, we have Shanghai Studio who should be coming with their release, Lost Soul Aside, in the upcoming months, and that should be a cool PlayStation 5 exclusive with a lot of RPG elements and near inspired action. So that brings a lot of cool elements to the gaming world, and I hope that we can see something out of that. But yeah, it's hard to know, and we'll hold on for the future.
Indeed we shall. Indeed we shall.
But Dorgon, what have you got going on this week? What have you been making? I saw a video from you release. What's going on? You can check out Dorgon's channel in the chat description. Let us know. What's up?
If you're not made of Spider-Man, I don't care at the moment. I released a video on Friday about my experiences with the PlayStation Cloud. So if you're wondering how good that is before maybe jumping in, it's worth having a watch of that one. The week prior to that, I had 2 videos go up. So one was the 19 inches of Venom. The other one was a review of a game over on the green side of the fence. So those are all available to be watched. If not, just hit that lovely subscribe button for me, for Cloud and Console, and for Rudix, and allow us to live our dreams of talking waffle on YouTube.
Yes.
What about you, my friend? What have you got coming up?
As usual, I'll be streaming 10 p.m. Eastern. We'll be playing either some Diablo I've got some requests for. We may be jumping into that new season as it's scary. There's Alan Wake 2, which is pretty horrifying. I've started a series where I do Architect Plays City Skylines, which I'm enjoying and nerding out on. So there's a lot of things happening.
I love watching the catch-up of that one, because for some reason, when you're being an architect, it absolutely destroys my YouTube and I can't watch you live. It's hilariously bad, and it's the only videos that it happens with. Anybody got any ideas? Put them on a postcard and send them in.
It must. I don't know if it's the simulation happening in the back. I don't know. That's
I can watch the catch-up, no problem. But yeah, check them out. They are great videos if you haven't seen his architect building in it's not Sim City, is it? What is it? City
Skylines. It replaced Sim City, I believe.
Fantastic series, highly recommended, even if you have no idea what he's on about.
Other than that, I got family game night coming this Wednesday evening where we play some Fortnite, but you know where to find me on my channel, hanging out, having a good time. And don't forget the toilets. You know what? They improved the sewage design in City Skylines 2. So now it all goes through the streets and the roads. Oh, everybody's pooping freely now. I got double sewage plants. I'm facilitating all the poops in my city. It's great.
How do we always go so far off piste towards the end of the show?
Yeah.
How did we get onto talking about poop?
Phoenix, she started it.
She's a bad influence. But we love to have you here, Miss Phoenix.
Until next week, be kind and bring peace into the world, right?
Take care, guys.
Or roll those credits.
So easily spoke. I ride just to be